When we look at certain questions unanswered, don't worry, Dennis will answer that question for you guys.
I'm a good listener.
Dennis will answer.
I will answer.
I'll pressure him, don't worry. And the answer shall be made public. And I don't think we need software to decipher this one. All right. So we get into the next conversations this hour, and thank you for keeping it here with us, even as we do. Our conversation this hour will center around looking beyond the regional fortress, that where it is safe to then, like what we know, perhaps we need to look beyond that. And to help us with that conversation, the Member of Parliament for Funyula constituency is Dr. Wilberforce Ojiambo, and he's here with us in the hot seat this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, wherever you are in Kenya. I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you for joining us in the Situation Room today for the first time.
Thank you.
You're in the hot seat of the Situation Room, and we're talking about a matter that has a lot of people in a bit of a twist, but we'll get through it anyway. Before we do that, Dennis goes around the African continent every week. He comes back from a particular country with its proverbs, and then we ask you to give us your interpretation of that.
Yes, so today we are in Morocco, and when you go to Morocco, a few things that you need to... It's a beautiful country to visit and tour. Part of the things they sell out here is their artistry. So you look at their pottery, the tiles that they do have, you look at their fabric, really amazing. But equally, their cuisine is beautiful. So you can go try couscous. There is tagine as well, and the mint tea, which is often called Morocco's national drink, right? It's also a constitutional monarchy that is being led by Mohammed VI. Let's go to the proverb. When your vision is enormous, small setbacks become lessons rather than endings. How would you interpret it?
Focus on the end goal. Stop being distracted by too small distractions.
Yes. Okay. Well said.
I was in Morocco.
Yes.
And I liked the country.
Okay.
Yes.
And the couscous?
Yes, I did. I tasted everything.
It would be wrong for you not to.
Yes.
I don't think we have time to go through the different things that you may have tasted in Morocco.
Yes.
But small distractions, and we look at the politics of the day, is tribe and the desire to bring people into tribal cocoons a distraction?
Yes, it's a distraction in a way. And it's a distraction that's normally done, perpetuated by some funny characters who believe they want to have some conclave for purposes of pursuing a certain political agenda. We accept that Kenya is not a homogeneous country. It consists of various communities, various geographical regions, but when we come to national matters, it is not acceptable that any person at time or at any given time would use tribal configuration for purpose of pursuing a political goal. Precisely.
Yeah. When you look at, we just look at how we play our politics in the country, and many say you have to be grounded from where it is you come from, right? But that should not be how you look at the leadership of the country, as much as everybody comes from somewhere. But while at that, then, how is that affecting the national discourse of Kenya and not tribalism being the driver of that conversation?
We must accept everybody comes from somewhere, and therefore wherever he comes from, they have specific requirements and needs. And those requirements and needs that collectively make the agenda for the people of Kenya. But we would expect anybody who wants to become the national leader of Kenya to transcend beyond tribal or localized issues and address the issues affecting the people of Kenya collectively.
So why is it important for politicians or anybody who wants to be in leadership? Why is it important, or why has it perceived to be important that they've got to go home first and get the endorsement, as it were, of their people first?
I think it's an African way of doing things. You as a member, before you embark on any major assignment or major activities naturally, it's natural, it's nature for you to go back and seek the blessing of your father, your mother, your relatives, and the kind of things. It will be hard of in African culture that a lady is going to get married and the father, the grandmother, the grandfather is not aware. It will look very funny. It will look also funny on a wedding day that you are going to wed, and either your mother or your father, being alive and just being available, have not turned up for the function. So it's very natural that anybody who wants to do any activity will start from the home, because that's where the blessings are bound. Then you move and seek support from elsewhere.
Okay. There is the thought that things could get ugly. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with anybody identifying with where they are from, because as human beings, we like what we know. The familiar is more comfortable to us. But that doesn't involve Kenyans, by and large, are very okay with one another. And speaking from outside looking in, I can see, by and large, Kenyans are okay with one another. So why is it still being used as a tool? Why does anyone imagine that they can use the tribal divisive tool when Kenyans generally are okay with one another?
Probably it's an issue of siege mentality. You remember sometimes back after the Dusit attack, we used to call it siege mentality. So the siege mentality, we want to find a point of cohesion so that you can use it as an exclusion mechanism from political competition or political penetration. Otherwise, I have lived in Kenya, so to speak, and I have never been discriminated against by any Kenyan on account of where I come from. I come from Funyula, Busia. Nobody has ever bothered to discriminate me on account of where I have come from, in my work in the private sector, in my work in academia, even in my position as a member of parliament. So generally, I totally agree with you. Majority of Kenyans do not even care where you come from. Walk into any social place, any evening, you will find young Kenyans, you will find people for our age seated together, discussing, sharing drinks, engaging animately in all manners of discourse at any given time. There's just like a small devil that normally comes, I don't know where it comes from, that during now the final end towards any political campaigns, people start invoking those tribal agenda. A Nairobi boy and girl has really doesn't care. Probably it's a product of a mother from one community, a father from one community. Which tribe do you place him or her? Kash is a Kenyan. He is a Kenyan. He's not interested in those old stereotype division that used to be there, that this and this cannot do this and this. Real doesn't care.
Yeah, the Constitution recognizes where it is you come from. It says it's part and parcel of what makes us Kenya, you know. But you look at this invoking of tribes as you approach the elections, but the people who are invoking this is the political class, you know. And with that, then you find the real conversation on agenda that will make Kenya better gets lost in there. Because, for instance, now all of a sudden you cannot go to Migori because apparently sisi watu wa huku msikuja huku, you know. Another person wakes up and says that, and you hear these statements coming over and over again, whether it is Kagusha saying what he's saying, whether it is Opondo Kaluma saying what it is they're saying. Why is the political class just refuses to play politics with behavior? Why must there be bad behavior?
Politics and bad behaviors sometimes are same one and the same thing. You know, sometimes politics, as people say, the end justifies the means. Where I sit, I detest that kind of approach. We have condemned it wholesomely, and we have condemned it since we could have condemned it, since such kind of divisive politics have been spinned in this country. This is not the first time. It has always been there. You remember the 2007-2008 election, there was this narrative, 42 against 1.
Yes.
And you see how the country exploded. Wherever I see it, it's normally a sign of... could be a political strategy, but it's a negative political strategy that has got far much negative ramification to the unity and cohesion of the people of Kenya. I want to urge all my political colleagues, don't fear competition. If you join politics, you must allow yourself to be competed against. You must present yourself to be challenged on your ideas. They could have a good idea, your opponent could have a better idea. So trying to have a silo mentality that I do not want anybody to come and tell my people that there's somebody else who has got a better idea, that's a very retrogressive, outdated, and a self-defeatist mentality. If that's your stronghold, why would you, and it's on your penetrable ground, why would you fear a busybody, a joker, a joyrider, as you call us, to come and talk to your people? Just open it up. If you want to compete, if you are in politics, you must allow yourself, present yourself for competition. See, we are trying to build this cocoon so that we do not have to come and tell people that what you see, there are better things outside there. You see, we were told that Homa Bay, there are shiny things. And probably shiny things is only the stadium and a few roads in town, and the Kabunde airport that was built started during Mwai Kibaki's time, completed during Uhuru Kenyatta's time. Beyond the town center, what you see outside there, it really demonstrates that the leaders in Homa Bay do not care about the people of Homa Bay, they care about their stomachs only. Because all they get, they end up in their stomach, they don't take it to the people wherever they are. I come from Busia. I thought Busia was the most marginalized county in this country. But what I saw in Homa Bay really told me a completely different story. It's not all that who make noise have anything to take to their people wherever they are.
Indeed. Well, when you talk about that, Funyula constituency is actually one of the recipients of affordable housing. There's a monstrosity of a project in Funyula. In terms of development for the country, is this not a good thing?
It is a good thing. Funyula people are taxpayers. They are Kenyans. They pay taxes every day.
Okay.
And then the constitution, they are obliged to be granted all development, all services. There's nothing untoward about it.
Okay.
Yes.
And will be uptaken?
Pardon?
Will there be uptake?
Let's wait and see when they complete.
And what are
Even if there's no uptake, we can be looking at it as a monument.
I mean, if you look at, for example, in terms of development that they have in the country, there is that construction that has happened in Funyula. Many are saying a lot about it, but what is pressing for the people of Funyula that one would say is of priority and most pressing to the people of Funyula as we speak at the moment?
The most pressing need of Funyula people is electricity connectivity. The next pressing need of people of Funyula is medical care. They want to find drugs in their hospital. The other pressing need of people of Funyula, they need water in their places. The other pressing issue, people of Funyula, they need money in their pocket. All those four things they don't have.
But Dr. Ari, when you look at the development there is the affordable housing, there has been argument that pattern strategy that is being employed is being able to allow people to live in one area so that they free their farms for economic purposes, so that instead of me living in my 1 acre, living in my 1 acre and not producing a lot to it, I can live in this apartment and leave the entire 1 acre for agriculture and be able to grow as well. Is that an explanation that then even these rural communities can open up and become cities, become towns that can stand on their own?
From a theoretical point of view, that argument is very plausible, and if you write a very good thesis, you can get can be awarded a good degree. But practically, we need to look how the rural communities are wired. You need to look at how Kenyans are wired. However well-developed a Kenyan is, even if he lives in a 200 million mansion here in Nairobi, he will still have a rural attachment. He will have a home in the rural area because we believe we came from somewhere. We have not severed our relationship or our link from where we came from. Naturally, however rich somebody is, whenever they die, even if they can, whatever they can, they always wish to be buried in the rural areas. So how will you bury somebody in a clustered area like the affordable housing in Funyula? It's a very good concept. I have seen it in South Korea. I've seen most of the countries in the northern hemisphere where people live together and leave large swaths of land for purpose of agriculture. We did not have, if we could started this a kind of argument at independence, we would then have achieved it. Bringing it now is going to take a lot of time for people to accept. You see, an African is a social person by nature. They prefer living amongst themselves. Even here in Nairobi, if you go to some of these low-cost places, you will find people from the same community, same neighborhood, from the villages, staying together because they understand each other. They have common goals. They have common challenges, which they can coalesce together at the shortest time possible and solve those problems. That's why you define Madare. A certain section belongs to a certain community. A certain section belongs to a certain community. You go to Dandora the same way. You go to Kibra the same way. You go to Kawangware the same way. You go to Embakasi the same way. You go to Pipeline. So it's our very nature. It is, as I say, the issue of getting people out of their farms, expanding spaces for agriculture, is a very good theoretical argument you can present anywhere. But the reality is that we need to look at the African setup, the socialism nature. We must have that, reverse that, before you can expect people to move to those high-rise places. As we always joke, you know, we as Luyas, now I'm a Luya.
Yes.
I'm a Kenyan, but also I'm a Luya. As Luyas and the chicken, we are inseparable.
Okay.
There's no single Luya who doesn't live with the chicken. They don't own chicken, they don't rear chicken. They live with the chicken because they are part and parcel of it. Just for example, for many years in 1990s, if you are a man from Busia and you didn't have a bicycle, even if you had a Mercedes Benz, they considered you a useless man.
Okay.
Is that, you know, you must attach some very intrinsic things about a human being that you cannot divorce that human being from it. So for us, let the affordable housing in Funyula at Alema be there. We are happy they are there. We will be looking at them and seeing you can climb up to the 12th floor and see the long stretches of Uganda and enjoy the scenic view as we see what to do with it. We would also want to have part of the wastage that is happening in this country must also come to Funyula. Why not us?
Okay, so you've said a lot of things there. Yes. So, and this very layered, but this last thing that you've said, so you do believe that there's a lot of wastage that's happening in the country at the moment?
A lot of wastage. Lot of wastage. I sit in Parliament. I sit in Public Accounts Committee. I sit in Departmental Committee of Trade Industry and Cooperative. The amount of wastage in this country is so much. If we can cut that wastage, even by 50%, we would need to borrow any money to undertake any physical development or for any budgetary support at any given time.
All right, I'd like us to take a break here and looking at the year ahead and less than a year now towards the next election, and that the political temperature is actually quite high. And with all of that, because it's people saying we can or we can't, or I can and you cannot kind of thing. Is it actually going to deliver with all of this, or will it become clear at some point?
It will come clear. Let me put the context clearly. There are quite a number of Kenyans who are disillusioned by the government of President Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza brigade, a very large number. They are looking for ways and means to vent out that anger by sending William Ruto home in next year. There are those, of course, those supporters of Ruto, the hustlers, the mamambogas, and those kind of constituents, so to speak, who believe he has done something for them that he should continue. So obviously those clashing viewpoints are going somehow to boil up somewhere, but I trust and believe we have enough constitutional safeguards. We should hold this country together regardless of the results. And I want to make it very clear that it is not possible it is possible to have these elections conducted to an end without any election malpractices that can actually jeopardize the integrity and cohesion of this country. So the call that we're making to EIBC and the security apparatus, please rise up to a constitutional calling and ensure you deliver a credible, verifiable election campaign and elections that Kenyans can actually believe that the right results.
I mean, when you talk about that, election is a process. Election is not a one-day event, you know. So that starts from campaigns, agendas being set, people selling the agenda to an inch there. But as we speak right now, one would ask the question, where you are being part and parcel as a founding member of Linda Wananchi, what do you see, especially when I again go back to election being a process where you're being allowed to sell your agenda across the country, where political state officers not being used in political campaigning? What do you see? And how does that affect the credibility of election?
Of course, there are some subtle attempts to subvert the democratic movements, the exercise of democracy. But I do not want to believe it has come to a point that we can say it's derailing democracy. What happened in Homa Bay is typical. You'll occasionally find it, as you have clearly said in the Moroccan proverb. These setbacks will meet them in a campaign process. So far, I wouldn't want to say it has gotten to a point that we can say there is a challenge in the issue, in the campaign process, towards the election. The only red flags that we need to raise is, again, two issues. One is the high number of persons who have not registered as voters, especially among the young people. The deliberate delay in releasing the ID cards for some sections of this country. But again, another red flag is the flagrant abuse of the provisions of the Constitution and the relevant legislation on citizenship, where this government has allowed foreigners who have not made it to constitutional threshold to register as Kenyans along the frontier counties of Marsabit, Wajir, Busia, Bungoma, Migori, who have been allowed to register as Kenyans, given ID, they purport to be allowed to register as voters. The target to raise about 2.5 million voters, unaccountable voters, who have no interest in what happens in Kenya, what we call wapiga kura kulipwa.
This is not the first time that this has been said. It seems to be something that folks believe is actually happening.
It is happening. It is happening. It is happening all over those frontier countries. I come from Busia, and I can give you, I have evidence. I have seen people coming who cannot either speak in English, cannot speak Swahili, cannot speak the local dialect, being lined up, coming with lorries, trucks to register as Kenyans. I raised the alarm, and luckily enough, that process had to be halted in Busia. But I know in other parts, it's still continuing. And you see, the president set the tempo when he went on this narrative that the previous governments had disfranchised people on the borders and they treated them second-hand citizens, allow them to register. We have no problem in people who live across the borders registering, especially, for example, in us in Busia. 70% of the community called Samia live in Uganda. At one time, Mudi Awori was a vice president this end. His brother was a minister in the Ugandan government. So that's how we relate. We have no issue. But forcing people who cannot either speak English, cannot speak Swahili, cannot speak the local dialect, how do they identify themselves as locals? And so this kind of challenge that we are raising, we have raised it early enough, that please stop this advanced voter rigging, because if you bring in somebody that's got no interest in what happens here, once they vote, they go and leave you with their problems.
And what you're saying is that this activity or this exercise is for the purpose of making sure you're able to have more numbers on one side.
Yes.
Okay. It's not a pretty picture that you paint.
It isn't. It's bad manners. It's bad manners.
Because if that is happening, that we're seeing planned rigging of elections, how does that then contribute to democracy, as it were, and promoting the same in the country? Because one would say that is not promoting democracy, that is actually fighting democracy.
Precisely.
Because someone is playing unfair. So as we talk about the agencies, again, I go back to them. You look at the police in terms of ensuring that those who are in the country are rightfully so. Our visitors who are in the country are here as visitors. That those who access the ID card are Kenyans who, according to the Constitution, should have an ID card. So if all these other agencies fail to do their job, how is it then that the 2027 election is free, fair, credible, and verifiable? Because the verifiability part does not exist. Credibility is lost.
It is easy to register foreigners to come and vote. It's a challenge to get them voting. That leave to us, we know how to handle. You see, the good thing, Kenyans know each other. If you live in a village or if you live in an estate, somehow you could have estate meetings, you meet in church, you drink together, so you know each other. So if you wake up in the morning, we see on the line the polling station in the line, we have never seen you for the last 50 years. You are like my age mate, I've never seen you. I am obliged to ask you, who are you? In whose home do you come from? Where do you go to church? Where do you go? Which river do you go with you to shower, bathe, and fetch water? Whose burial have you ever attended? Whose grave have you ever dug? See, these are the basic questions we'll ask. If you can't answer those questions, we'll pull you out of the line and tell you cannot vote here because you have no stake in this area. It's as simple as that. So, but we want to call upon the security agencies. We want to call IBC. Because finally, IBC's hands are tied. As long as you have presented yourself with an ID card, they're obliged to register you as a voter. We want to call upon the Office of Registrar of Persons. You are endangering the reputation of this country. Because that person you are giving an ID will use that ID to acquire a passport, will go to a foreign country, commit a crime. It's Kenya's reputation that will be damaged, not that particular person's reputation will be damaged. Over time, we are going to devalue the esteem held of Kenyan passport all over the world. We cannot just simply, we want short-term gains and make this and endanger this country because we want short-term gains. We always argue whether Ruto wins, loses, somebody else will come up and govern Kenya as per the dictates of the Constitution. It's not a matter of life and death that President Ruto must remain president in 2022. We just call upon him. Let's put the interest of Kenyans up front more than his personal interests.
I look at some of the things that you mentioned. So if you talk about a direct attempt to then be prodded up by votes, the security situation also cannot be left out of this conversation. And that people are a bit worried about what it's going to look like. That can you go out, for example, and support someone not sure of what violence will be met? What's your level of confidence in saying that going into an election and the activities that will lead up to it will be those that will be secure?
Violence is a tool to discourage voters turning up to vote, more so the women. A woman, at least from in the rural areas, once you hear there is a fight somewhere, they will not go there.
Okay.
So it's basically a tool to suppress voter turnout. Secondly, the police are complicit in this matter. And I sympathize with the Inspector General of Police. It would seem he's not in control. Somebody somewhere is calling the shots somewhere. Because, for example, when the chaos was being planned in Homa Bay, we forwarded to him all the audios, all the video of the planning meetings, the mobilization, the distribution of the machetes, all those kind of things. We share to him, but he's powerless. Literally, he can do nothing.
Sorry, repeat. I'm sorry.
Yes, he's powerless.
The IG?
The IG is powerless.
Okay.
When we were on the ground, when we were being attacked, you heard Babu Wino telling the police was standing by, tunapigwa na mnaangalia. So later, when we started talking to some of them, they were given explicit instruction, not from their line of command, by somebody else, that you guys just sit, see no evil, hear no evil. Many of the police were mopped out of their stations and just kept somewhere. And it's only a few that were left in the police stations for purposes of recording any injuries, anything like that. Even when Governor Natembea and Mheshimiwa Jack Wamboka, their vehicle was deflated, they couldn't move. When they ran out and hid in the bush, they had no one to rescue because all the police had been confined at one area. There was nobody to rescue. When even one of our ladies ran and hid inside a toilet in the stadium, there was nobody to rescue. So you would find we are having a situation where the chain of command, as provided for in the National Police Act and in the Constitution, has been broken deliberately to ensure that the goons do all they want to do at the expense of democracy. But we want to tell the government and the goons, it is going to get to a point Kenyans will have to protect themselves. And that will be the start of anarchy and chaos. There's no way somebody's come with a machete. He's going to slash me, and I just pray, continue do what you want. I have a constitutional right to protect myself. Self-defense is a defense in a court of law. So we just want to urge the police that it has gotten to a point, you must remember you have a constitutional obligation to protect the lives and properties of Kenya. You will never go to court and pledge that I was given orders from above. The orders from above that are admissible are lawful and binding orders from above. An illegal order and above does not exonerate you in a criminal liability. Remember, you'll be personally liable. Liable. Not anybody else. There's no collective liability.
I hear you. But you were also told that how would you, if you knew that there were goons in the area and that somebody was planning some kind of untoward activity, then why would you go to that same place? And this is coming from the head of security, essentially, of the country.
That's the joke this young man, Murkomen, is. May I call him a cartoon? He's just a joker. It's unfortunate such a sensitive docket was given to a clown like Murkomen. It's very unfortunate. You see, it's like telling me that don't go to the CBD because they're pickpockets. Don't go to work because there are flies at the place of work. It is the responsibility of the police to provide security. That's all. It is my responsibility as a law-abiding citizen to go any part of this country to sell my agenda. It's the responsibility of the police to ensure I'm safe. I've said whatever I wanted to say. I have left the place safely. We notified them inadequate. We gave them adequate notice as required by law and by common sense. They were not aware. We didn't ambush them. They were not aware that we were going there. They were aware. For him to stand up and say that's why he has, they have actually embarrassed him all over. I'm sure the next time he'll say, if you know that share is not working, why do you fall sick?
Yeah, I mean,
if you know you are not subscribed for share, why have you fallen sick?
Yes, Dr. Harry, I want to look at The statement that has been made by the Cabinet Secretary is regrettable. You look at even the IG, and one would say that is dereliction of duty because he failed to provide the services that Kenyans do deserve. But the National Assembly, as an overseer, as a body that is in charge with oversight, can sanction these members to come and give explanation. We can even institute these individuals to leave office, And that notwithstanding, are these some of the options on the deck for members of parliament, regardless of the political party, to ensure that things are done right? Because you have the powers to do so as parliament.
Yes, on the incident or the violence that has been experienced in various political parties, one of our colleagues has raised a matter on the floor of the House. Obviously, yes, Murkomen will have to come to the floor of the House to answer to what he knows and what step did he ever take to prevent the occurrence of such a matter. The way our parliament is National Assembly is currently structured, it's what we call it has been captured by State House. The lonely voices that are against state excesses, we are very few of us. We can't do much. Many of them are held hostage by State House due to some history, let me say so. Which, and you hear most of them are say, Mheshimiwa, just give me a few months. I have an issue here and there. I have a file I'm chasing somewhere. My file is probably at EACC. I want to clean it up. Just wait. When time comes, we will bolt and come and join on the side of liberating the people of Kenya. At the moment, the way we are structured, it will be an exercise in futility. It will just be empty talk show to attempt even to bring a essential motion or any kind of motion against CS. But again, I can tell you for sure, CS Murkomen is disliked across board. That's the truth of the matter. He's disliked across board because of their own, again, local politics in the Rift Valley and generally below expectation performance as a cabinet secretary. But we believe he's an appointee of the president, appointed by the president. Essentially, probably might be blaming him too much. He's just executing the instructions given to him by the president.
Are you saying failures we see coming from the CS is an indicator of the overall leadership that the country finds itself in?
As the Americans say, the buck stops on the desk of the president. They cannot run away from that. The buck stops on the office of the president. And the president is the chairperson for National Security Council. You cannot tell me he cannot be aware that all these things are happening and he's not aware. It's not believable. Even myself as a member of parliament, however small security breach is, even if even a thief cut a security power cable, I will be called immediately and be informed that XYZ has happened. Even when somebody's cow has been stolen, I will be called and told a sister struck it and get it. So to tell me that the president is not aware that these activities are being planned and are being executed is surely, as you say, that is failure to perform. That surely should actually send him home in 2027 without any point of argument, without a debate.
On the road to 2027, there has also been, we've look at the conversation that we've had this morning and looking at different aspects that all culminates in this one thing that will bring Kenyans to the process where they're talking about the decision that they will make to rather retain a certain thing or bring something else in. We often say that Kenyans are in the habit of voting out without really focusing on what they're voting in. How do you see all of these things playing out when it comes to the decisions that Kenya will make in the future, and what really needs to change, if anything, in Kenya's governance?
Kenyans have suffered for the last 4 years. That's the truth of the matter. The cost of living during President Ruto's time compared to Uhuru Kenyatta's time has worsened. Kenyans are worse off than they were even during the corona times. That is an undeniable fact. Now, the challenge that we have, we must ask ourselves, why have we gotten where we are? We have gotten where we are because the leadership that has been entrusted to govern this country has failed to follow the constitutional dictates, especially Article 10 that sets out the broad national values.
Yeah.
We in Linda Mwananchi, we are saying you do not have to do anything else. Just follow the provisions of the Constitution. Just follow common sense. Just do the basics that require to be done. Respect the rule of law. Respect the right of a human being to articulate his views. Respect the right of a human being to say whatever he feels like without going beyond certain boundaries. Yeah. If we simply follow the law and the Constitution, Article 43 of the Constitution sets out the broad mandate that the government ought to do to the economic rights. Is clearly there. There is really nothing you need to do out of this world to achieve what we require. We require people of integrity.
Yeah.
Integrity. We require people who have got good values. We require people who believe they're not going to the office to enrich themselves or to build a financial war chest for the next election. We want people who really believe in service to the people of Kenya. We want people who have some sense of shame. A sense of shame. As a human being, there are some things your conscience will tell you this is very shameful. Stealing somebody's money. That only, by the very nature, it does not have to be in the penal code.
Yeah.
It must be entrenched in you from childhood that stealing is one of the commandments, 10 commandments. We need to go back to the basics. We also need to tell a typical Kenyan that you do not have to pay to get government service. If you refuse to pay, you will still get that government service. It might take a little longer, but you will still get that government service. We need to rekindle the first weeks, the first months when Mwai Kibaki became president. The common Mwananchi will arrest a police officer who demanded a bribe. We must fight the scourge of corruption. We must make sure whatever little you have, you can account for it. How do you account? How does a person like C.S. Murkomen don a watch of 2 million? It was alleged. Me, I don't put on watches. I don't know the cost of a watch. I don't know. So it was alleged. How do you explain a mere MP to go to a Harambe and contribute 15 million? Those are the hard conversations. Those are the hard questions we Kenyans must ask. Yeah. So when we go to the 2027 elections, you have that best opportunity. You have the most important day of your life to decide your future now, and for now, your children, your future generations. We are deciding in 2027. If you want to continue the same way we have continued, it's upon you to decide. Yeah. Never ever complain to any other Kenyan that I'm suffering. And if you are sleeping hungry, 2027, vote out Ruto. If you cannot afford to pay subscribe for SHA, you have to raise Harambe, vote out Ruto. If you are unable to pay school fees for your child, the cause of your problem is none other than President Ruto and his regime.
Yeah. Finally, we look at the registration of Linda Mwananchi as a political party. There's seemingly a kidogo problem to register it. What is holding it up?
I don't know why this government has run scared of Linda Mwananchi. We are just a movement who are resonating with the people of Kenya. Give the Kenyans what they want. We're just a movement who have attracted the attention of Kenyans.
And who want to govern the country.
Who wants to govern the country.
Okay.
For the purposes of attending to the issues the Kenyans have told us. Whether you refuse to register Linda Mwananchi as a political party, the formation and the movement has entrenched itself in the people of Kenya. We will continue shouting the slogan Linda Mwananchi, whether you like it or not. There's nothing illegal about me shouting a slogan. Whether we register as a party or not, Linda Mwananchi will remain the slogan of our movement. And we are so sure that spirit will form the next government and govern the affairs of the people of Kenya. We are not worried. Whether you register it or not, there are so many vehicles. If you are going to Siaya, you can use Kenya Airways. You can go by SGR, by train to Kisumu and hop into another one. You can go by Delete Express. You can use private means. You can, a political party is just a vehicle.
Right.
The idea is already entrenched. It's what we are going with to the end.
He is the Member of Parliament for Funyula constituency, the Honourable Dr. Wilberforce Ojiambo Oundo. Thank you for being here with us this morning, for making some things clear. Looking forward to other conversations with you as this journey continues.
Thank you. I'm always...
Is the Situation Room the only way to start